A seminar today, a review and introduction for some as well on some of the electrostatic application equipment that we have. Steve Sobadash is with me today, and he is going to be doing the presentation for you guys. I am going to put a survey link into the chat in a little bit here. And then if you guys have questions while Steve is presenting, if you could please put them into the chat, I will monitor that. And in between sections of products here, we'll actually give a chance, just so we don't go through everything and then ask for questions going back on a bunch of different products. So Steve will end each one, and then we'll check for any questions on those products at that time. All right. I know it's Friday, so we'll try to get this rolling.
Yeah. So again, like Kyle said, I'm Steve Sobadash. Some of you may have met me or know of me. I've been with the company for 34 years this year, and took over the training department last year after being in the service manager position for over 17 years. So this is something that we're focusing on, and hopefully we can bring more of these to you, and hopefully you guys might be able to come down and see us here in Plymouth for some of our classes. So we're going to get started, and today we're going to present the latest general industrial electrostatic products from Samez. We will discuss our manual nanogun and the automatic nanobell offerings, along with the TRP automatic air spray gun. We will begin with a look at our manual electrostatic offerings, the second generation of nanogun air spray and air mix version manual guns. But before we get into the equipment, there are two products that are a necessity when using electrostatics. First is the use of a resistivity meter. Our AP1000, which is an item we sell. This measures the capability, This measures the capability of the material to oppose the passage of electricity. The lower the resistivity level, the higher the amperage draw from the high voltage generator inside of the gun. And next would be the high voltage probe. And another item we sell, the Samez HVP 500. This probe is compact with a clear 4.5-inch digital readout and comes with its own carrying case. It allows voltage measurement at the tip of any E-stat applicator in order to confirm that you are applying the requested voltage from the power supply. Both of these items are essential in understanding your electrostatic application and applying the most proficient spray. There are two versions of our nanoguns that we are supplying. First is the MV Plus for air spray and the MX Plus for air mix pressures, both for applying solvent-based material and isolated waterborne material. The MX Plus has two pressure versions, 120 bar and 200 bar, or 1740 and 2900 PSI. Some of the benefits that the nanos provide, from finish quality to paint savings, along with the ease of use. Both guns are the lightest in the market, with easy adjustment of air and paint flow, along with voltage triggering using magnetics instead of the usual airflow switch to turn on and off E-stats. Both guns provide most optimal wraparound effect with constant voltage control, even while in high current situations, achieving this by a new designed high voltage multiplier cascade that adjusts current and voltage per the distance of the gun from the substrate. Studies have shown that the MX air mix version has delivered up to 93% transfer efficiency while providing the most uniform atomization and even paint distribution film build in the market today. Both the MV and MX Plus guns come in high resistivity and low resistivity versions. The high version allowing up to 500 mega ohm per centimeter down to 10 mega ohm per centimeter. The low can go all the way to 0.5 mega ohm, which is very hot, and both versions can reach the same flow rates. The MV Plus, the air spray, comes in lengths of 7.5 and 15 meters, while the MX Plus comes in 7.5, 15, and also a 25-meter version. Both come in as one of the lightest E-stat guns in the market today. These guns were in development for several years. The design and balance of the gun was modeled after handheld weapon technology for better ergonomics during usage. We provide several fluid delivery methods and air spray pump options, from 1-to-1 diaphragm and 2-to-1 open piston pumps to pressure pots and low pressure Flomax version pumps. The AirSpray MV Plus version can be used with solvent-borne 1 and 2K paints, along with waterborne paints used with isolation. It is low pressure under 105 psi. There are fan and vortex style spray caps using the very compact and simplistic GNM 6080 power supply module to control voltage signal to the gun. Speaking to the air cap styles, we provide two versions. Fan spray with injector sizes running from 1.2 to 1.9 with 1.5 as standard. We recommend fan spray for painting large or flat items, while when it comes to smaller, intricate parts or tight spaces, we recommend our new Super Vortex round spray nozzles and caps, which uses a tight circulation of air to create a strong turbulence to funnel and focus a round pattern. There are three sizes of Super Vortex: 6 millimeter, 8 millimeter, and 12 millimeter, with 8 millimeter being standard. Using the Super Vortex allows a more direct spray pattern with less overspray, creating a better transfer efficiency. Let's go over some of the quick highlights of the MV Plus air spray version. We have a magnetic voltage on and off, easy to use paint and air controls, more ergonomic handle and trigger with an electro-pneumatic cable QD connection. Some more highlights include an easy to remove hook, newly designed lightweight cascade. Both the fluid and air are activated with the needle. No need for an air distributor. Again, using the magnetics to engage the high voltage with the movement of the needle when triggering. Nozzle seats are made of titanium, while the tip of the needle is made from tungsten for better durability. There have been a few improvements made over the last 2 years from the original version Nano gun. First is the addition of a washer added to the end of the inner air valve to prevent wear due to constant trigger engagement. Then, making an improvement for ease of the air control, we've added a snap-on adapter for the knob. This makes it larger with more ease of grip for thumb control. More improvements have been made to increase ease of use and better ergonomics. There are now kits available that allow the use of a 4-finger trigger. These kits consist of a new handle bracket, intermediate hose and trigger, allowing for more finger room and less fatigue. When it comes to using metallic paints, you always need to keep the metal particles suspended inside of the paint flow. For these applications, we now offer 2 coil versions of guns, one with a standard size coil and a second mini size coil to allow more finger room and more maneuverability when painting in tight spaces. Now for the air mix version. Testing shows the MX Plus can deliver up to 93% transfer efficiency, allowing less paint. It's more environmental friendly with less maintenance. As we know, air mix in itself has a superb atomization. Adding electrostatics provides fantastic paint savings and even better finish quality. When it comes to fluid delivery, we provide several air mix version pumps, both open piston and Flomex style, including cart mounted offerings. There are a variety of tips available, and they are very similar to the standard air mix tips used on our Excite gun range. The difference is the body is made of plastic instead of metal for the electrostatic purposes. Let's hit on some of the highlights of the improvements to the MX Plus. First, the MX gets the same air valve cap and air control adapter as the air spray, and new gun handle bases for both low and high resistivity, along with extra extensions for the new base to allow a 4-finger trigger. Both the MV and MX Plus use the same power supply control unit called the GNM 6080. It provides up to 60 kilovolts and a maximum of 800 microamps. It has 3 voltage presets, scheduled alerts for maintenance, and a bright LED numerical and colored bar voltage indicators that can be seen from a good distance away. It also has fault indicators and internal temperature fault alerts. For water-based electrostatic painting, we have our newest isolation unit, the ISO Cube. It is the safest and user-friendly ISO unit in the market. It is an all-encompassing isolation cabinet that has the power supply with gun, regulation for the pump and gun, fluid and air hoses, along with agitation control, all incorporated into the cube itself. Inside allows mounting for any size pump and a shelf for securing a 5-gallon paint bucket. You can equip the unit with either air spray or air mix version guns and various types and sizes of pumps. As you can see, there are several high and low pressure pump packages that can be purchased in a system or purchased just a cube by itself and used independently with the use of existing equipment. So this concludes our nanogun portion of the presentation. If there's any questions, Kyle, has there been any in the chat box?
There's nothing currently in the chat, but if anyone wants to speak up in the
Yeah.
meantime, ask a question, please feel free. Otherwise, we'll continue on.
Anybody have any questions about either the MV Plus or the MX Plus electrostatic gun? No?
Sounds like we're good.
Okay.
We can move on. If you guys think of anything in the meantime,
Yes.
just please feel free to put it in the chat. We'll come
Yep.
back to it.
Definitely. All righty. So next we're going to start with our and introduce our automatic air spray electrostatic TRP 500 applicator. The TRP 500 gun comes in two styles, one geared for general industry use, which are standalone gun bar or reciprocator mounts, and another is a robotic mounted version for more auto and tier 1 and 2 customers. However, both can be used across either market. These are most commonly configured for solvent and 2K paints using internal direct contact charging. They can be used as a single or dual head gun. And the robotic version can be ESTAT or non-ESTAT. The ESTAT version has a low voltage cable fed to the applicator from a power supply, sending a signal to the cascade multiplier inside the gun, creating the high voltage application. The recip versions, TRP or 0 degree as it's called, can also spray ESTAT or non-ESTAT. These guns are fed with a high voltage cable from an externally mounted cascade multiplier that receives the low voltage signal from the power supply, then feeds the high voltage to the gun via a high voltage cable. Both versions of the TRP use fan, vortex, or HVLP air spray caps with various sizes of nozzles and restrictors for precise flow control. The TRP 500 has been a leader in the application industry for over 40 years. The auto industry has seen the TRP become the most used and trusted robotic gun applicator in the market. It has also been the standard applicator for OEMs and suppliers. In general industry, it has a strong presence in the decorative market, home furnishings, and agriculture, amongst many others. Basically, any manufactured part that needs coating, the TRP is the way to go. The operation of the TRP can be intuitive and precise, with all application commands being external. Electrostatics, pneumatics, and paint flow are mostly commonly provided via computer. Some simplistic paint applications may use control panels that are manually operated and controlled. All right, so that's going to conclude the TRP 500 portion of the presentation. Are there any questions, Kyle?
Nothing in the chat right now.
Okay.
Again, if anyone has any questions, please feel free. Sounds like you're good to keep going there, Steve.
All righty. So now we're going to get into our rotary atomizer offerings, the Nanobel 801 and 803. To start, the Nanobel 801 is considered an entry-level bell. It is the very first air spray bell without electrostatics that Samez has ever developed. This bell is mainly geared towards the general industry market. It brings state-of-the-art automotive bell technology and the ability to provide a Class A finish to the GI market. This can spray solvent, waterborne, and plural component paints. It's robust but compact and lightweight for small robotic reciprocator or fixed position mounting. It uses our newest compact high-speed turbine, the T8, which spins up to 65,000 RPM and comes in 3 magnetic bell, cup, and air shroud sizes, 35 millimeter, 50, and 65 millimeter versions. The most eye-popping aspect of the 801 is the fact that you can get all of the benefits of an ESTAT bell while sacrificing some transfer efficiency without having to upgrade your current booth or even install a new one with expensive fire suppression and safety equipment as you would with electrostatic bells. To state some of the specifications on the 801, the state-of-the-art automotive style bell has dual shaping air with both vortex and straight air that can be applied, allowing better control of the paint application for changing part size and intricate design. This control can improve the transfer efficiency by directing the paint to a defined area with less overspray. The paint flow is from 50 to 800 cc's per minute, and the airflow can be from 100 to 1,000 Newton liters per minute. It is very lightweight at just over 3 kilograms. And regarding the three different sized magnetic bell cups, there is the 35 for primer, the 50 for primer, base, and clear, and a 65 millimeter exponential cup, mainly used in base coat. The 801 can be mounted as a straight bell using a gun bar for standalone or reciprocator use, or it can be mounted for a robotic application in both full and hollow wrist robotic versions. It can be fitted with any integrator or customer design bracket that works for the customer's specific application. As you can see here by the exploited view, there are a few parts that make up the Nanobell 801. With only a few wear items such as cups, injectors, and turbine, the air and fluid fittings are exactly the same as the original Nanobell 1 and 2. So keeping maintenance stock for the 801 is minimal with a low cost of ownership. Our next bell is the new Nanobell 803. It is our latest high voltage electrostatic bell geared towards general industry use with both reciprocator and robotic applications. This bell is also lightweight, but is more elongated than the 801. It is designed for a smaller robot with lower payloads. With the shape comparable to our previous PPH 308 bell, it can spray solvent or water-based paints using internal or external charging. The 803 also uses the new T8 speed turbine with up to 65,000 RPM and the same range of magnetic bell cup sizes as the 801, 35, 50, and 65 millimeter. But the 803 also comes in a 43 EC size. Now some comparisons and specifications of the 803 versus previous bells. The diameter and overall length is smaller than our previous 308. As stated, this uses the T8 turbine, whereas the 308 used a low-speed PAM-style turbine, only reaching 40,000 RPMs under load, instead of the 65,000 RPM of the T8. It uses the new BSC 300 speed controller. The higher rotation creates perfect atomization for waterborne and high solid products. The internal cascade of the 803 allows up to 100 kV and 150 microamps, where the older 308 only allowed 85 kV and 100 microamps, allowing for a maximum transfer efficiency using the new G&M 300 power supply. The 803 also comes with dual shaping air for perfect pattern control. The Nanobell 803 has full process range and is able to paint both 1 and 2K paints, high resistivity and low resistivity solvent-borne paints using internal paint coils. It can handle waterborne paints with its internal or external charging capabilities. And when using 2K paints, it has bellows-style valves for better cleaning and longer operational life. It is capable of loading up to 4 colors and is equipped with 1 dump valve for purging. Speaking to mounting the applicator, the 803 has stated can be mounted as a straight-on applicator using a gun bar or reciprocator or small robotic mounting with both full and hollow wrist bracketry available. Its slim and smooth design allows better booth aerodynamics and less cleaning time for maintenance. So this includes the bell portion of the presentation. Kyle, are there any questions?
Not yet.
Nothing yet?
Don't be
Anybody
shy,
got
guys.
anything?
Don't be
Yeah.
shy.
If you got any questions, then it doesn't matter what the question is. Just let us know. All right.
I have a question, Steve, but I'm going to hold it
Yeah.
until the end of your presentation, so I'll let you
Okay.
carry on.
Alrighty. Sounds good. Thanks, Doug. Alrighty. So lastly, we're going to talk a little bit about a new system that we have, robotic, complete robotic paint system, the Easy Paint Lite. This system is simple, allows for 4 ranges of process painting: airless, air spray, air mix, and electrostatic air spray technology. This is an easy to quote, install, and integrate system package with great paint savings and ROI while using a robotic process application. The system will come with a process control panel with 7-inch interface HMI. It can be used for 1K or 2K applications using a variety of Samez spray guns across the entire spray technology line using the A35, the AVX, and ASB guns, along with the Nanobel 801 and 803. These systems come supplied with or can be integrated to the existing Fanuc P40 or P250 robots. They can be used and mounted from the floor, wall, or ceiling. These systems can be fitted with various pressure-rated color changers, regulators, and gear pumps inside of a cabinet or to the side of the robot stand. While using the P250 robot, the fluid panels can consist of upside color change valves and gear pumps, well mounted in the interior of the robot arm, allowing for very fast color changing and flushing with tremendous paint savings. When ordering, you will get with your Samez regional sales team member to design the EPR Lite system, best matched to your customer's application needs. They will then use a configurator worksheet and work with the Samez engineering staff to quote the most perfect and simple robotic paint system. Alrighty. So thanks for attending this presentation. Does anybody have any specific questions for our EPR Lite robotic system?
Steve, can I just clarify quickly? You said that that system can come equipped from Samez with a robot, or we do it in conjunction with?
Yes, it can be both.
Okay. Doug,
But
you had
only
a
those
question?
2 robots. Only those 2.
Okay.
P40 or P250.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a question or a request, Steve, but could you just go back to the beginning and maybe elaborate quickly on the resistivity meter?
Oh, yeah, sure.
And talk about, because I think most of the people on this call are, in the wood industry and stuff. And, it's all about the coatings, right? Understanding the coatings and what that meter does and what you're looking for when you're actually testing paint. Maybe just talk about the 3 levels and where we kind of want to see that range of paint to actually be successful.
So paint has a resistivity to it. And the higher the resistivity level, the more what they call dead the paint is. The lower the resistivity draw in the paint, the hotter the paint. So when you hear that dead paint, hot paint phrase, that's what they mean. Lower is a hotter paint, higher is a deader paint, and you want to be in between a range. Too hot of a paint, which we consider under 10 mega ohms per centimeter cube per our resistivity meter, because there are different resistivity meters out there, but we do ours by centimeters cubed. And anything under 10 on the scale is considered the need for an isolated paint hose, or what we call low resistivity hose. And what that does is it isolates it from the front of the gun all the way back to your paint supply. If it's above 10 mega ohms cubed, all the way up to 500 on the resistivity scale, they say it's capable to use just a standard paint hose, which would connect at the handle of the gun. So you don't have a continual isolation all the way back. There's no need for that because the paint is higher. So when we say high resistivity, that means a standard paint hose connected at the handle of the gun. Low resistivity means a paint hose that goes from the front of the gun where it's connected all the way back to your paint supply with no breaks. It's fully isolated inside, going back to ground. And that keeps that hot paint or that low resistivity from tracking and shorting to the paint supply via the high voltage that is applied at the tip of the gun. When it's high resistivity, you don't have to worry about that. And we say anything above 10 mega ohm per centimeter cubed on our AP 1000. And how we look at it is anybody that sprays paint should have a resistivity meter when spraying electrostatics. And it's not, I mean, you could stay with the same paint. So you say you paint black all the time and it's from the same supplier. There's a lot of times where when a paint supplier supplies a paint, there can be a variance. May just be a little bit, maybe a lot. And it also depends on humidity that gets to the paint, that type of thing. So you always want to make sure that when you use a new paint, that it is in that range that is going to tell you it's high or low. Because in our applicators, low can paint that wide variety from down to 0.5 all the way up to 500. But high can't paint below 10. So what normally happens if you have a customer that changes paints a lot and paint suppliers, and they're back and forth, different styles of paint, different colors, and they're not checking their paint resistivity, I would normally tell the customer to go with low resistivity because low can do all, but high cannot. The only drawback when you do use the isolated hose, it's thicker and it's stiffer. So the drawback is it can paint every range of resistivity, but it is a little more fatiguing for the painter. But
and you won't get a
will be
gun
able to
filter
spray.
either.
Yes, that also. So
Yeah.
go ahead, Kyle. You got anything else?
Sorry. Yeah. Well, I was also going to say, so when you guys are out there thinking about prospects and stuff, it's good as the sales side of things to have one of these two. You want to be checking if it's a 2K paint. You want to check that paint once it's been catalyzed and reduced, because the reducer that they're using can make a drastic change.
Yes.
And how much they're reducing it can make a drastic change in the readings you're going to get.
Correct.
Some paints are are basically dead, and then as soon as they add the reducer, it becomes a hot paint, depending on how much they put into. So just keep that in mind. Always check in the process of how they would actually be spraying the paint.
Yes. You always want to paint, you always want to check the resistivity of what's going to flow through that gun. So if there's 2Ks, 3Ks, whatever is being used, you always want to make sure that you measure it before. After it's mixed.
And what's your opinion, Steve? Because we got a question. Can you buy both the AP 1000 and the HVP 500 as a kit part number? But I don't think the HVP 500 is as popular anyways as a critical item to have. It's more of
the reason why
it's
this is the reason why I say it's an essential item, because you want to know for 100% that your tip voltage is what you're asking for, because you could have a break in the electrode could be missing. It's going to tell you that you're getting 85 kV, but without the electrode, or if the electrode has paint behind it and it doesn't have a clear path, you might only be getting 60 at the tip.
Okay, fair. That's a good point.
You always want to know that what you're requesting, you're getting. Or you could have a fray and it could be a little bit of a short that's not going to register on your power supply. That's going to keep your voltage down at the tip from what you're requesting on the power supply.
So maybe not cause a fault.
But not cause a fault, yes.
Okay.
So you might all of a sudden, everything's painting well. You go to break, somebody cleaned the gun, they forgot to put the electrode in, they put it back on, and next thing you know, you're like, wow, I'm getting a lot of blow by. I'm not getting the wrap that I thought I was going to get. So you go out there, and it's good for as a check between shifts, especially with automatic stuff, to measure the voltage at the beginning of every shift to make sure that there is no underlying things that are causing the voltage to not be applied at the tip. And this will help you. And it also helps, believe it or not, it also helps for bleed off. So if you're getting a voltage leak at the back of a bell, you can tell by bringing that down like a ground rod, and you'll be able to see if there's voltage, because there should only be some residual. But if it's bleeding off due to a cascade not being tight enough, or unfortunately, sometimes this happens, electrostatic burn through, you're going to see where that voltage is at with a higher reading than you would normally get. So that's also a good thing about a high voltage probe. You can tell where there's bleed off.
Dave just asked again, should we as a distributor have this, or should it be something we sell to the customer? So
I definitely think it's good for you guys as a seller, because you're going to be able to demonstrate that to the customer and to explain to them the importance of it. And so it is a selling tool. So yes, I do believe, especially if you're doing demos, you definitely should have this as products. And you should also, as we know, at least if you guys know anything about electrostatics, you should always have it, but we don't sell it. You should always have a Megger or a mega ohm meter, because you always want to make sure that you have the correct ground, because your products could be running perfectly and 100% correct, but if they don't have a good ground of their racking system or their conveyor, it doesn't matter. You're not going to get the electrostatic wrap, because everything has to be grounded that this applicator is painting. With a bad ground, you will always have problems. So I mentioned the two things, that's because we sell them, but there's actually three things you need. Resistivity meter, Megger, and a high voltage probe is always good.
And David, also to add on to that, I think it's very smart as a distributor, even if you guys just share one at your location, when you have the potential for a client, being able to go there and just do that check ahead of the time, you'll know the paint you're working with. So when you go to do a quote, you already know what gun you're recommending, because without having knowing the resistivity, like Steve said, you could do the default and do low resistivity. But my preference is do the HR version of the guns, because they're more maneuverable. The hose is a simple hose to replace. You can get the gun filter at the gun handle then too. So if they're in that range, you can sell them the appropriate gun that's a little more user friendly too.
Yep. For sure. But this is
Any
just
other-
suggestions for things
Yep.
to look at when you're selling the electrostatic equipment.
Sure. Anyone else got some questions?
No.
Well,
Okay.
feel free if you guys think of anything
Yes.
after you've done this. Again, I did put a survey in the chat. If you guys wouldn't mind taking a minute there just to fill that out quickly, that'd be really appreciated and help us do some of these in the future. And we'll let you guys go then. I appreciate your time today. Thank you very much,
Yes,
everyone.
definitely. For sure. Thanks everybody for joining, and have a good weekend.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Kyle. Have a good weekend, guys.
Thanks, guys.
You too.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kyle. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you,
Bye.
everybody. Cheers.
Take care, guys.